Hello, Power Up Nation. Pat Council here. And we're going to talk about, can thinking really change your life? Have you ever heard this saying, what you think about, you bring about? Well, I had a conversation with someone and we were kind of joking around. And one of the things that she said was that, you know what? If what you think about, you bring about, I should be really, really rich and I should have this amazing life. And every time I think about something, I should just get it. Well, there's more to it than just thinking. So that's what we're going to talk about. There's also a saying that says, change your thinking and change your life. So how true is that? So we're going to talk about that because this is the time to start setting your goals. This is the time to start thinking about really, where do you want to go? What do you want your life to look like? And what do you want to contribute to this world using your amazing gifts? But I mainly wanted to talk about this because my friend, when we were sitting around talking, she had a point. Well, if what you think about, you bring about, well, you should really, really have every single thing that you want. So then the question becomes, what's the holdup? What's the problem? What's stopping us from getting the things that we want? The Bible tells us in Proverbs that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So let's start there. I think that's the answer. Just because you think about something, that does not mean it's going to happen, because it can be a fleeting thought. It can be a thought that you've put no emotion behind it, no real feeling behind it. And of course, you have not supported it by putting some real action behind it. So when you hear the concept, change your thinking, change your life, or what we think about, we bring about, can that really happen? Yes. What you think about, you can bring it about, but there's a little bit more to it than that. You have to believe what you're thinking. Okay, so it says, as a man thinketh in his heart. If something is in your heart, then that means you really and truly believe exactly what you're saying. You believe the pictures, you see it in your mind, you feel it, because when something's in your heart, you really feel it and you're excited about it. So the truth of the matter is that all improvement in your life, it comes from changing your beliefs. And so you have to change your beliefs about yourself. You have to change your beliefs about what's possible for your life, what's possible for you, what could possibly happen. And that's where faith comes into play. Personal growth, we hear a lot about that. And I've heard some people say, I don't want to talk about personal growth, which is so weird to me, because I'm thinking, how is it you want to have a better life, but you don't want to allow yourself to grow into that life? So you say, well, why do I have to grow into it? Shouldn't I be able to get the thing that I desire automatically? Well, in theory, yes. So, but what stops us? What happens is when you're taught something different, when you're taught something that's counter to who you really are, when you're taught that you're not built by design to win because of your gender, because of your race, because of where you live or how you grew up, or because you're different from the family across the street. I mean, I grew up without my parents. I was raised by my grandparents. So I grew up wishing I had my parents, they were together. So I was different. But you know what? In time, as I became older and I started to learn some things and ran into some really awesome people and got a very good, few good coaches and a few good mentors, then you know what happened? My belief system changed. So I started thinking about myself in a different way. Because you know what happens is whatever you believe, that becomes an actual fact for your life. And that's not my quote. There was a professor at Harvard years ago, and I read this in a book. And you know what? I have the quote written here, but don't ask me what book it's in. But I always kind of jot down notes when I'm reading my books, and then I go back and because they're kind of categorized. And so this one falls under goal setting and goal achievement. And so the quote is by Dr. William James, who attended Harvard University. And this was said back in 1905. Can you imagine that? And he said, belief creates the actual fact. So if you're not getting what you want, thinking is really changing your life. It's just not changing it into the life that you desire. So it's either doing one or two things. I want to say it's either causing you to be the same, but nothing ever stays the same. So you're either going down, and things aren't actually getting better because you were stagnant, because of inertia and these kinds of things, or you're going up. You're just not going up and going towards the things that you truly desire. So how can you do that? Well, you can actually end up making more money and be miserable doing something that you absolutely hate. I've met people like that, and they're earning in almost the mid six figures, and they're complaining about their jobs because they don't like what they do. It's not connected to their God-given purpose. But let's get back to belief creates the actual fact. So if belief creates the actual fact, then it stands to reason that all we have to do is change our beliefs, right? Easier said than done. Because what happens is if we have been programmed to think less of ourselves, to think that we are not good enough, to think that this is the road you should follow, this is the pattern, or to kind of brainwash us into falling into what's called groupthink. And groupthink is not necessarily a bad thing if the group is thinking about doing something amazing and going upward, and they're all really making something great happen that's going to make the world a better place. But groupthink is not good when we're all told this is the direction you should go in because you're this gender, or because you're this color, or because you grew up on this side of the tracks, this kind of thing. So the point that I'm getting to here is that belief system can be altered, and it could have been something that was done when, let's say, we were all children. Usually that's kind of how it starts. What we learn when we're younger, and then it continues to be reinforced. Unless there's something that interferes with that way of thinking, then we tend to stay that way. For example, sometimes people believe the negative about themselves, about who they are, okay, because someone is amplifying that. Someone has amplified that negativity. Someone has taken that picture that they already think about themselves, and they're saying, yes, you're right. You know you're less than the rest of the class. Well, here's the thing. If you change your thinking, okay, then you can in fact change your life. So this is why thinking, it really can change your life. So this is also why you have to take control of your thoughts. Now, here is the next, I guess, hurdle that we have to kind of jump over is if you've been thinking a certain way for a long time, and that's all you've ever known, and there's something that fights you, and that something is usually your subconscious mind, that it's been embedded in there, that it's your subconscious mind, and now you've adopted some thoughts about yourself, and you're kind of on autopilot at that point, and you're thinking, this is who I am. And every single time you try to rise above that kind of thinking, in other words, you try to rise to a different standard of living, or you work on this goal that you really, in your heart of hearts, truly want to make happen. You know, you feel it, and every time you get ready to go towards that goal or do something to make that goal happen, for whatever reason, you convince yourself that you're tired, and you become afraid, or you say you don't have time. And there's a whole host of excuses that we come up with, or you say, I'll do it tomorrow, because somewhere in your subconscious mind, you're convinced that this is where I am, this is my comfort level, and this is where I'm going to stay. And then at the same time, that person is complaining and they're very negative and they don't like anybody or anything, and they can find something wrong with the entire world. It doesn't matter. You can bring them the nicest person and they'll say, yeah, I don't like this person because they're just too nice. It can't be real. They must be fake, because that person is not a happy person. So why is that person not happy? Because that person is not living the life that they truly desire. In other words, they're not doing life with power. They're doing life from a position of being powerless. Okay. And they feel, kind of that powerless feeling. Okay. They feel that they don't have that energy boost that they need. And the sad part about it is each and every day that person wakes up, they wake up with a new set, let's say renewed energy. And then what happens is, because they've done nothing different, in other words, they haven't taken the steps to change their thinking. They haven't taken the steps to override that thinking. They haven't even taken steps to cleanse their mind and get clarity so that they can adjust to the right kind of thinking. They haven't done any of those things. So even though they wake up with this renewed sense of energy and they say tomorrow will be better, when they get out of bed, tomorrow is the same. So why am I talking about this? I'm sharing this because, as I said, as you start to set your goals, as you start to plan for the coming year, not just next year, as you start to look at where you are in your life right now, which that is extremely important. I don't know about you guys, but I always have to take a look. Okay. And I have to remind myself. That's why the Bible tells us to renew our minds daily. And it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So how do you get transformed if you're not renewing your mind daily? So the point that I'm getting to is, I have to remind myself every single day, this is where you're headed. This is what you desire. This is who you are. Okay. And who am I? I'm built by design to win. Who are you? You're built by design to win. And so you have to really position yourself to buy into the idea that this is who you are, not because this is some fake thing that you're thinking, but because the Bible says you're fearfully and wonderfully made. So we're all fearfully and wonderfully made. God says, I knew you when you were in the womb. So in other words, he says, I know the number of hairs on your head. How amazing. How amazing is that? That we were designed in such a manner such that the only way we don't win is if we make that conscious decision not to do it. And actually, sometimes it's not so conscious. Well, it is conscious, but then, because how do you know it's conscious? Because when you don't do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, you start to feel guilty. You start to feel anxious. You start to say, oh no, I'm running out of time. Okay. And so, at that point that you're not doing what it is you were supposed to do when you were supposed to do it. But never fear. That's the beauty of sun goes down, sun comes up. Because when the sun comes back up, guess what? You have a chance to do it again and do it right. Renew your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Okay. And the other thing, I mentioned cleansing your mind. That's an extremely important thing. Okay. Because there's another scripture. And it kind of tells us that that we should not put, let me make sure I get this right, that we shouldn't put new wine in old wineskins. So when it comes to your mind, it's an old wineskin as long as you are really staying with the path that's taking you where you don't want to go. And you continue to do something and it's not bringing you the outcome that you're looking for. And you're looking around you and you're listening to everyone talk you out of your dreams, right? Because what they're saying resonates with the old wineskin. Okay. And you come up with excuses. And I've said it again. I'm going to say it one more time. I may say it again. I don't know. Gender, color, born on the wrong side of the tracks, different from the family across the street. And, really, the object of the game is it's not about any of that. It goes deeper. It is about, why are you here? Okay. But see, if you're built by design to win, that means you have a God-given purpose and you have what you need to get on the path to making that happen. Now, the beautiful part is I don't think any of us achieve anything of any real significance doing everything by ourselves. And that's the thing. So while you may have it, you have to make connections. Okay. I mean, even Jesus had 12 disciples. So he had people surrounding him. He had some help. He had a community. And so with that being said, you guys, thinking can really change your life. But the question is, which direction will it change? Which will you go in when your life is changed? Will you go down? Will you go up? The thing about the putting the old wine in new wineskin, it's kind of telling us that, listen, you really can't put the new inside the old. It can't hold it. So how do you refresh your mind? How do you kind of level or clean that foundation off? Because, we've been taught a lot of things that's counter to success. Okay. And no one was doing that because they were mean or because they were rude or because they wanted to hurt us. People can only teach you what they know. And you take what works, but you have to learn to throw away what doesn't work. But the things that don't work, sometimes they stay in your mind. So how do you deal with that? That's where you have to clean your consciousness so that you have your power back, so that you can increase that energy, that energy that you need to have clarity, to have focus, and really to have a stronger mindset. So why do you need a stronger mindset? You need a stronger mindset because a strong mindset or a weak mindset won't expand to accommodate your new life, your better life, the things that you desire. You cannot think the same and get something new and get something better. This is why a lot of times, a lot of people, they think, okay, I'm going to vote, and they're going to save my life. But I've been saying this since I started this podcast in 2007. The government can't save your life. The government didn't make you. Okay. We are products of God, and he kind of gives us the rule book. Okay. Or I should say the guidebook. People don't like the word rules. So let's go with guidebook. And it really is. It gives great guidance. So I'm saying all of this to say that if you really want to be stronger, you want to do what it takes to cleanse your consciousness. It's something that I did years ago, more than once, and I haven't done it I'm going to say it's probably been about maybe 3 or 4 years, okay, since I've done a consciousness cleanse. So I've decided I'm going to do another one. And you guys are invited to kind of hang out with me if you want, and we can do this together. Now, I have it's a little mini course, and it's the 7-day consciousness cleanse. And so I made it super affordable. It's $14.99. However, it's by invitation only. So the link is going to be in the show notes, or you can go to Designing Your Life Achievers Academy. And you can click on the links there, and you can just shoot an email, and we will send you the links. Now, it starts November 7th, but we're going to let it run for at least 30 plus days, because everybody can't start on November 7th, but you can get your 7 days in within a 30-day period. And I promise you, it's going to be so incredible. It's going to open your mind. You're going to deal with some things in your past. You're going to become more empowered in the present, and you're going to position yourself to have the clarity to plan a much stronger future. So if you want to have that better life, yes, you do have to change your thinking. You have to increase your ability to believe. You have to increase your faith. You have to get some clarity on how you actually view the world that you live in. And the way we view the world, it's about our beliefs, it's about our attitudes, and yes, our prejudices and preconceived ideas that we have. And it's time that we understand that it's not about really what we think we are, but it's more of understanding that how we think, that's who we are. Okay. And that's what's going to either help you win, help you set better goals, help you really have the discipline to stay on track and achieve those goals and be more consistent, or in the other go in a direction, well, that's counterproductive to what you desire for your life. I think it's really important for us to understand that all of the information that's been coming at us, all of the bickering, everybody's giving an opinion, especially because this is an election year. And you know what? I reached a point, and I don't even watch the news, but I do see the headlines. And, I reached a point where I said, okay, I don't even want to see the headlines. Enough is enough already. I do my best to become informed. Now, I did have to do that because I think it's responsible. I don't just vote blindly, and I'll just believe everything they tell me. So, and I wanted to get into that, but it's a good thing we're at the end of our podcast, so I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, with all of that information, everybody's giving an opinion, and all of the negativity that's coming from that, it actually made me tired, and I don't even watch the news. Okay, so I thought, man, imagine how if a lot of people in the country, they're watching this, they're stressing over it. And I had another one of my friends say, you know what? I can't wait for this to be over. And she said, this is not fun at all. And so I thought about that. So if you have a large number of people and they feel that way, the vibrations and the energy in the whole country, it just goes down. And what most people need to remember is that everything is energy. So if you're not making enough money, if you don't feel physically well, if your relationships aren't where you want them to be, if you don't have peace with you, if you're worried about things, then perhaps it's time for you to create a clean slate. Now, again, you can go to designingyourlifeachieversacademy.com and you can click on the 7-day consciousness cleanse. I already told you the price is $14.99. And when you see my other courses, you'll realize, wow, she really wants us to do this. Okay. And of course, it's that low because, I have to pay someone to prepare everything. But I want you guys to participate, and let's kind of hang out and see what happens. There are going to be videos that guide you, and it's going to be 7 days of really good consciousness cleansing. You're going to feel so much better. I've done it in some of my coaching as we start to wrap up, in some of my private coaching. I've done it, and I can tell you some of the feedback and the responses I've gotten, and they come back, and I had, for example, had one person, and he told me, he said, you know what? I never knew that I was holding myself back. And he said, I feel 50 pounds lighter. And he was already really slim, and he says, I feel 50 pounds lighter. All this weight that I've been carrying on my shoulders and walking around being angry. And he went on and on and on. And he said, my mind is so clear. And then he went on to share, and this is the beauty of it, and we're going to wrap up on this. Then he went on to share how he said, I felt so good, and I learned more about being positive. I learned more about myself. And he said, I felt so good until one of my cousins, he said, she was down, and she said, I don't really know why I get up in the morning. There's not even a reason for me to be on this earth. And he said she was so negative. And he said, and he thought about what she said, and he felt her pain, and he sat her down and he had a conversation. He said, years ago, I would have just brushed it off and said, we all have our own problems. And he said, as a result, she told him, you know what? I'm going to do better. And she thanked him. And of course they hugged. And I felt so good that that's the kind of results that he got from the cleanse, to the point that he could pass it on to someone else. And I want you guys to pass it on to someone else as well, because it will benefit you. Listen, that's all I have for you. As I said, the cleanse is actually going to start. I keep wanting to say November 8th, but it's November 7th. That's on a Thursday. It's going to start at 4 p.m. But if you're working or something, you don't have to be online or anything like that, because it's a do-it-yourself thing and you can get it done. But we will kind of talk about the feedback or some of the results that you're getting for those of you that want to share, because it's going to inspire others. This is going to be awesome, you guys. So I'm hoping you guys will participate. That's why it is super, super affordable for everyone. I promise you, you will set better goals. You'll have more clarity. You'll have more focus. And you know what? You will really understand the concept of doing life with power. And you're also going to understand the concept that you are built by design to win. Listen, you guys, I hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to be back with more because I got to check the number and see which number we're on, because I promised you 52, or is it 53 different subjects that's going to help you set better goals, become better achievers, and to do life with power more before the new year comes in. And so far, we're doing pretty good. So listen, I want you guys to have a magnificent day. Do life with power, because you're built by design to win.